It's a very rainy day in Philadelphia right now. Just finished watching the Chamonix lead finals. Toby Roberts, very cool win. Anytime the last climber out wins, and especially when they get the only top, that makes it extra special. But honestly, I'm stuck left processing what we witnessed in the women's final. Is it real that we got to see Jain Kim become the oldest ever female lead World Cup winner in history? Did we really just get to witness that record be broken? Yeah, just to emphasize that, to be really clear, I guess Jane Kim until today, from her 2019 win in Inzai, was the third oldest woman to win a lead World Cup or World Championship, and she was behind Robyn Erbesfield, who was the oldest, and Lynn Hill, who was in second place. I think Robyn Erbesfield would have been about 32, and Lynn Hill was about 31 ish. And those records are from the 90s. Like Robyn's last competitive season before she switched over to route setting would have been 1995, right? So that is how many years ago is that? Somebody help me with the math. So like 20 years, 20 like is that 28 years ago? Is somebody born in 95 28 now? Yeah, so this record has stood for nearly 30 years. Yeah, that all makes sense. That's crazy. We're only seeing that record be broken now. That record has stood since 95, and we all got to witness it today. Hopefully, you got to watch it live too. We all got to see that happen. That is extraordinary. That's a generational achievement. That's unbelievable. I I'm very happy I got to watch it. I'm a little bit sad because I was planning on going to Chamonix actually, and so part of me is kind of sad that I wasn't there to see it in real life. But I'm having a really good time on vacation in Philadelphia, and so it's like a little bittersweet. But I've had a great week here, and I think this was probably the better thing to do, knowing everything that I knew going into it. But damn, what it must have been like to be around that comp. It was fun just watching it in the Discord with friends and everybody. That was something else. There are things that we can take away from that achievement, though, just like there are in pretty much any competition. And the big two are the strength of the field, which has become more and more of an issue ever since the Olympics showed up. It was an issue before. There were comps, especially back in the days where funding was in a much worse spot. You would see World Cups. This was normal for Speed World Cups to see like a field of 10 people. But for lead and for boulder, there were some World Cups in far-flung places or just at a bad time in the schedule where the field was heavily diminished and you wouldn't see the best climbers show up. And it put a big asterisk beside the names of the people who won the gold medals. Now, this wasn't that bad, but missing Yanya, missing Brooke, missing Natalia, missing Aimori, I think it's reasonable to say like two of those four names you almost consider to be like a guarantee for the podium each week, right? I'm not saying any particular two, but just any given week, I bet that you would see two of those people on the podium. So seeing those people missing is a legitimate asterisk, but not one that has, like, Jane has benefited from that in the past, but she has also been one of those climbers to not be at competitions and open that door for other people, right? Flukes go both ways. Jane has won gold medals due to flukes, and she has lost gold medals due to flukes over the course of her career, as have most people with a big enough trophy cabinet. But the other one is Chayun's. I was going to say her fall, but Chayun being called off because she clipped out of sequence. I don't think that takes away almost anything from the value of Jain Kim's win. It may take away some of the fun for Jane because what a painful personal moment to have to experience that success and then watch somebody who she evidently loves so much go through disappointment. Almost feels like too small of a word for what Cheyenne probably felt. But at least for the quality of the win and for the achievement of getting the gold medal, I texted John Bergman actually when it came down to Cheyenne's climb. And at this point, Jane was guaranteed a silver, and it was just down to Cheyenne to see if she could do better than Jane. And I texted him and said, man, at this point, it feels like it's 50-50. It feels like it's even odds that Jane wins the gold. And I think that was mostly because Cheyenne's an excellent climber, but she hasn't won a World Cup gold medal in a few years. She did win the World Championship in 2021. But when we think about her over the last, a bunch of events, we consider her like a podium contender, sort of, like maybe a gold medal contender, but a podium contender. And so it's not unbelievable to me that she doesn't top a route. And if you look at where Jessie got to, and you look at where, who else was up there? Hélène Génicot, all these people. The distances that they got up the route is about what I would expect, honestly, from Cheyenne. And there were enough danger points, enough difficult little cruxes through there that I could absolutely imagine Cheyenne on one day not achieving those moves, and on another day, yeah, maybe achieving them. So the fact that she didn't get actually that high because she gets called off due to a really unfortunate mistake, a mistake that was completely her own making. Yeah, it's just how it goes sometimes, and so that by itself doesn't, I think, take away anything from Jane's win for me. This is a clean 30 gold medals, guys. Clean 30 golds. What else did I want to say? Well, I guess the last thing is we talk a lot about greatest of all times, or great. Yeah, we talk about the GOATs, right? And most of that conversation has been driven by Janja Garnbret over the last bunch of years. Some discussion comes up when climbers like Jain Kim or climbers like Akio Noguchi step out of the scene, and when everybody's doing their kind of eulogies to their career, those terms come up. But most of the conversation has been around Janja. And there are a bunch of, I don't want to say criteria, but like components for creating a case to say that somebody might be the greatest at something. Some of those might be dominance. So by how much were they winning these competitions? One of them might just be like medal count or general success. So, whether it's by a big margin or a small margin, did you always manage to be a winner? And then one of them, among others, is longevity. And that's something that Jain Kim inarguably has. She had it before she retired to have a kid and move on with her family. And now the fact that she's come back, and then the fact that she made a finals last week, and the fact that she makes a finals this week, and then gets on the podium and then wins a gold medal. Like, what are we talking about? Becoming the oldest ever person to win a female lead gold. She's also, like, not that this is technically like relevant in my mind, but like she's also older than any woman that's ever won a boulder gold medal, and she's probably older than any woman winning a speed gold medal. But there's a bunch of people who I don't have the data for, so I don't want to like say that, because there's some people that like maybe they were 35, but I just can't find data on like a bunch of like mid-90s Russian and Ukrainian climbers and stuff. So in longevity, that is something that Jain Kim has. And if we want to talk about greatest lead climbers of all time, Jain Kim is right up there at the top. Whether or not Janja or maybe another name from history has done better with more emphasis coming from a different angle of argument, yeah, maybe. But if we want to talk about Janja being the greatest of all time, I think we should reflect on what it takes to achieve longevity. Janja's already been around for a long time, right? But Jain Kim has been around across many generations of climbers, and she has beat many generations of climbers. And while I wouldn't put any achievement past Janja Garnbret, like if she sets her mind to a particular goal, I believe that she can achieve it. If Janja wants to take this record away from Jain Kim, and Janja wants to be the oldest ever woman to win a lead gold medal, she's going to have to wait 11 years, which is just an extraordinary thing to say out loud. Like, does Janja want to be around in 11 years? Do I want to be around watching comps in 11 years when there's going to be like a paywall up and I don't know the names of anybody, and who knows what else? Will the IFSC still be around in 11 years? I don't know. This was a really generational achievement that Jain Kim achieved today. Almost three decades of of that record standing from Robyn Erbesfield. It was something very special. I hope if you were watching you enjoyed it. I hope if you didn't watch it so you understand the context and can see how it happened. And it was a good lesson that not all gold medals and not all great achievements happen beautifully. Sometimes it can feel a bit sloppy. Sometimes the incredible climb comes early in the round and everything else falls apart, and the win kind of emerges from the crumbling of everything else around it. But it was, yeah, this was one of the most special comps, and maybe that's just because I'm really into like the history and stuff. But yeah, this was really special. Congratulations to Jain Kim. Doesn't matter what happens with the Olympics. It doesn't matter what happens at the next at the next World Cup. Like, she has no business making finals in World Cups at this point. You're allowed to retire and move on once you get into your early 30s, especially in the women's field. That's so unusual. That's so rare these days. The fact that she then made finals is extraordinary, and the fact that she won gold is, well, it's one of one. She's the only one to ever do it this late. So congratulations, Jain Kim.